Hello my people them, it is your boy Toyin. Welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to talk about my recent interview experience interviewing as a senior software engineer, so as an experienced engineer. So to preface this, I recently got a new job, senior software engineering role at a different company, and I just want to talk about my experience. And also, you know, this channel is not just about me chatting, sitting here chatting, also to give you guys some tips, some things that are very important to look out for, and some things that you can do to make yourself stand out. So yeah, hopefully you like this video. As always, don't be a hater, like, share and subscribe to the video, and let's get into it. So let me provide a little bit of context. It is currently the 6th of March, the evening of the 6th of March. I started looking for a new job in November 2024, but I decided to start looking whilst I was still working at my previous place. That was in November 2024. First thing I did, went to my LinkedIn, updated my banner for open to work, made that only visible to recruiters, and then also updated my actual LinkedIn profile, optimized it a little bit, updated my CV, the usual stuff, right? Now, first thing is when you're more senior, so I've got a few years under my belt, it means that you oftentimes get messages from recruiters. So I was getting messages from recruiters whilst I was working anyway, but when you say you're open to work, you even get more messages. So a few messages a week, and I started replying to some of them that looked interesting and were meeting my salary expectations. My first tip, actually, LinkedIn, fantastic resource, but easy apply, dead. Don't do that, right? You're gonna fool yourself into thinking that by easy applying to jobs, you're actually applying, but you're not really, because ain't nobody in the history of the world ever gotten a job for easy apply, big man. Ain't happening. So if you find a job or find a role and it says what the company is, be proactive, go to the company website and actually apply through the website rather than using easy apply. It's easy, but it just doesn't work like that. So that's my first tip. Right, so I optimized my LinkedIn profile. Looking good now, yeah? Cool. So then I started replying to some of the recruiters that messaged me. When I started replying, you know, talked to a couple of them through like interview calls. Some of them I just said, nah, that ain't for me. Some of them, yeah, cool, blah, blah, blah. So there was one recruiter who actually advised me to sign up for this job platform called HackerJob. I think it's probably quite popular, actually, to be fair. It's a sort of thing where you sign up and then companies will message you, right? Yeah, amazing. It's amazing in principle, but I think it's actually a platform that mostly works for more seniors. Again, I think if you're a junior engineer, there's way too many of you for companies to give a shit about junior engineers. They just put up the thing on the website and they'll get their people. Whereas for seniors and leads and principals, etc., they're a bit more niche and they want the right people, so they might go on looking for them. Now I'm going to give a little bit of a timeline. So I told you I started in November. I signed up to HackerJob in like December 18th or 16th, sorry. I signed up to the platform. December 18th, 2 days later, I got a message from a recruiter at a company. So I got a message. They said they were interested in my profile and my CV. They looked at it, looks good, Can I have a call with them? So I set up a recruiter screening call the next day. So December 19th, I had a call. It's about 10 minutes. She told me a little bit about the company, and I told her about my experience and also told her my current situation, right? Basically, what that means is like, why am I leaving or thinking of leaving my current place? What's my motivation? And then also the important thing is like my salary expectations. So first thing here is you should know that when you're talking about your current place or why you're leaving your current place, don't slag off the current company, bro. Don't say that. Don't say they're shit. Don't say they're dead or they're pricks or they're dummy dirt. No, be professional. Keep it diplomatic. Say something generic like looking for new opportunities. Oh, I want to expand my skill set into something more. Oh, I want to have growth opportunities outside of just my day-to-day jobs. Yada, 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 right? The bog standard diplomatic answers, give those, because nobody wants to hear that you're saying, my current company, they're pricks, they're dummy dirty. No, it's not going to come across well, it's not going to reflect well on you, so don't do that. But yeah, that was the first thing. I said some stuff about why I'm leaving, and then salary expectations. Now I'm going to give you my personal way of doing it. This is how I personally handle it, what I found to have worked very well, and it's given me bumps in salary, good bumps in salary over the last few years. So I think it's very silly to be truthful about your current salary, because they will ask, they'll be like, what are you on currently? And then if that matches with what they're actually offering, that's what they'll ask. So what is your current salary? Don't tell them the truth. lie. So what you're gonna do is take your current salary. Let's say that's 32k. That's your current salary. You're gonna add 5 to 10k, between 5 and 10k. Right. So take your current salary, 32k. Add between 5 and 10k. Let's say you decided to go with 38,250. That's your current salary. Your current salary, right? Make it a bit of a non-round number because it sounds a bit more realistic. Salary increases and those sort of things. So your current salary is 38,250, and because of that, you're looking for an uplift of 15 to 20%. Right? So that's an extra 4 to 6 grand on top of that. So your salary expectation is something like 43 to 44,000 pounds. So you're actually on 32 and you're asking for 43 to 44. And the reason this matters is because they will always take your salary expectation and maybe add on 1k, add on 2k, add on 3k, or take away 1, or etc. They're going to do it around the number that you were given to them, right? Even if their range, because they're not really going to tell you their actual salary range. So they might, but from my experience, they don't. So they're going to add a couple of k to your salary expectation. So give it high, so that even if they go under, right, you ask for 43, they say, okay, we can only offer 42. You're like, you know what? If the company sounds so amazing, I'm willing to take it. You're eating, bro. You're eating. So that's with salary. That's how I do it. It's worked very well for me. Maybe you want to do that as well. All right, let's move on. So that was on the 18th. At the 19th, at the recruiter screening call. 10-minute chat about salaries. It was all good. She liked me. Yeah, cool. Same day, I was sent a assessment to complete. And this assessment was a psychometric test. Standard bullshit English and maths questions, which were stupid. To be honest, I think they're ridiculous. But it felt like they were just checking if you had like your GCSEs. But it's not even GCSE level. It's like primary school level maths and English as well. But yeah, bullshit test. Okay, I did the test on the same day. It was all fine. Next day, the 20th, I had my first proper interview. So I had an interview with a couple of engineers, software engineers from the company that I'm applying for. So it was a proper interview, a mix of technical and competency-based questions. Some of the examples for the questions was, how do you deal with a difficult client? How do you go about doing code reviews? What do you think is important to consider during code reviews? How do you deal with underperforming team members? Yada, yada. Now, because I'm a senior engineer, some of the questions are a bit more related to managing other people and dealing with junior engineers, and also being a bit more front-facing. So when you're senior, you might be front-facing to the client, discussing things, discussing requirements, yada, yada. So when I'm answering the questions, an important thing to always think about, and what I kept in mind, is that every answer I gave, I wanted to demonstrate my actual experience, right? Because again, I'm a senior. I've done stuff, man. I've done shit. So every answer I give about code reviews, about blah, 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 I'm always saying, this is how I used it on this project, or when I was working on this feature, this is why it's important. And when I'm doing that, I'm emphasizing my position within the actual team, the project I was working on, and also the positive contribution that I made, right? Every answer. Bang that home, keep banging that drum. I'm fantastic. Yeah, on this project I did that. On that project I did this. Whilst working on this feature I did this, right? You want to be quite specific to show that you actually done shit and I know shit. So that's how I answer the questions. Another tip, another thing to consider, and what I think helped me a lot, is building rapport. I think when people interview, because they get so nervous, they forget that you're actually talking to another human being. And that means that whatever's going on at the time, for example, if it's cold, they're feeling cold, if they're tired, I might be tired, So building rapport is really important. The first thing I do when I go into interview, I'm like, oh, how are you doing? How's your day going? Oh, how are things? Oh, the weather's crap, because we're British and we like talking about the weather, right? Oh, because my interview was around Christmas time. Oh, any plans for Christmas? Oh, you're still working this late. Da. Build a little bit of rapport, a little bit of There was even one time where they were trying to do something on the screen, and then technology fucked up basically. And I was like, software engineers, how many engineers does it take to share a screen or something, right? So those sort of little quips and that really helps in build rapport, and it means that it will help you as a candidate as well. So make them look favorably upon you, and it's just going to be positive, basically. So do that. Don't be a robot. Be a human being, basically. Okay. So I had my first initial interview on the 20th of December. going through the timeline again. 18th, message on HackerJob. 19th, I had a psychometric test and there's a recruiter screening call. 20th, I had my initial interview with a couple of engineers doing competency and technical questions. Then on the same day, I got feedback for my interview and it was all positive, really good. And then I also had, they sent me a coding test, basically. Now, I want to get off my chest my opinion on coding tests. I think they're ridiculous, stupid things, because in this day and age of ChatGPT and DeepSeek and Claude and Gemini, whatever, what's the point? What's the fucking point? You're wasting my time. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. Let's get back in the boat. I was sent a coding test. I had to do it. Use a little bit of ChatGPT to help me, and then record my answer, writing out this Java function or whatever to send to them. One thing I did whilst answering the questions, made sure that I didn't make it perfect, because I was conscious that they might be like, use ChatGPT for this, right? So I wanted to make sure that I actually kind of did it myself and used ChatGPT to help me. I made a couple of intentional mistakes. Now, one thing with coding tests, even though they're stupid, I think they're ridiculous, especially if they're sent to you and you have to do them in advance. I think they're ridiculous. But one thing to know is that you need to make sure that you know the code that you're writing, because they're going to ask you about it, and if you don't know, it's going to look ridiculous. So yeah, I knew the code I was written, sent it in, I was passed with that. And then after that, 27th of December, so like a week later, I had my final interview. This interview was with the engineering manager, so the manager of all the engineers in the whole company, and like a senior lead engineer, basically. So two big dogs. I had an interview with them. The interview was split into two parts. The first part was with the lead engineer. I was going through my coding test, so he was taking me through some of my choices I made. Why did you write this? Oh, you made a mistake there. Oh, we could have done that there. The requirement was this, I came very prepared to that as well, so I knew all of the mistakes I had made, so I could just be like, okay, yeah, there, I made a mistake. Yep, I changed it. I will change it to this. Oh yeah, there, and that was calm. There's no problem. Then at the end of that, actually, I was asked a technical question. Now, it caught me a little bit off guard, but not fully, because when I prepared for the interviews, I had in the back of my mind, it'd be good if I just prepared a little bit of like theory. And when I say theory, I mean your solid design principles, your design patterns, and big O notation. I think those three things, if you just look at them, know what they are roughly, know a couple of design patterns, know a couple of solid principles and examples for them, and know somewhat what your big O notation is, maybe some algorithms or something. Just know it loosely. I don't think it's asked that much, but it could be. So I was asked about a design pattern. What is your favorite design pattern, and why is it your favorite? And I gave an answer. Because I had looked at it, factory pattern, love that shit, make stuff, and it's cool, whatever. Gave an answer. I wasn't fully prepared for it, but I managed to kind of circumvent it. But yeah, make sure you also look at some of the theory, basically. And yeah, and then the second half of the final interview was with the engineering manager and the lead engineer. There I did a presentation of a project that I had worked on. Now, this is the second time for an engineering or senior engineering position that I've done a kind of presentation on a project or a feature that I've worked on. They love asking this, I think. And I think the reason they love asking this is because, one, whoever's interviewing, it doesn't actually have to prepare anything. They send you the task like a days ahead, and then you come with a presentation. So they don't have to prepare nothing. And the questions present themselves. They look at your presentation, and then they ask you questions about it. They ask you, what choices did you make? Why did you make those choices about technologies? Why did you use certain technologies here? And what tools did you use to achieve certain things? When you're doing a sort of presentation like this, and you're presenting like a project you've worked on, a feature you've developed, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that you should basically assume that they're going to rip it apart, right? They're going to ask about every little bit that you've put up. You presented this front end and back end, and this node that you're using here, and you're using Java for the back end, and you've got a database in Azure or whatever. They're going to ask you about every little part of it. So make sure you know it inside out. And by knowing it, what that means is not why did you make certain choices. You don't always know why, right? Sometimes you come into a project and it's already set up, so you don't know why. But you should know what it was. And for the why, a good answer is also, we decided to use this tool because it was compatible with another tool we're using already, right? So you might use certain Azure specific tooling because all your cloud infrastructure is in Azure, so it makes sense. So yeah, know the project inside out, know what choices were made and why they were made, and then also be able to talk about them. then because of the project or with the feature, you should also know what were the challenges, how did you resolve any challenges, how did you mitigate them, what was the outcome in the end, did you manage to deliver a positive feature, what happened when things went to production, right? What did you learn about it? Did you not write enough tests? Was there a difficult client that you had to deal with whilst you were developing the features? As I mentioned, the main thing here with the presentation sort of thing is know the project or the feature that you worked on really well. They're going to ask you loads of questions, know the wider context, why was it developed in the first place. So yeah, 27th, I did the final interview where I had a coding test and I went through the coding test with them and then did a presentation on the project I worked on and talked about it. And then at the end, they gave me a whole spiel about the company and why it's so fantastic to work for. I talked a bit more, and essentially asked a couple of questions about progression and development, and that was it. Yeah, they basically made me the offer the same evening. I got a call to say I got made the offer, and I moved over to the new company in February and been here nearly a month now. So that was my experience, basically. I took you through all of the stages that I went through, all of the little bits of things that I think about or that I thought about and might be important to you. So just to kind of round up this video, it took me 18th of December I started, job offer by the 27th, so that's 9 days. That's very quick, especially with the amount of stages that I went through, a couple of tests there, a couple of interviews and calls as well. So it's very quick. So the timeline might be different for everyone, but it's something you keep in mind. It can be that quick. And if it is that quick, I think it's always best with interviews especially, do them as soon as possible, basically, because the roles might fill up. If it's available earlier, that makes sense still. Do it as soon as possible to get it done. But I'm not going to waffle on too much. I hope that was somewhat helpful. The tech market, people talk about it all the time, is a bit of a mess. It's a bit mashed up. But it's a different landscape if you're a senior engineer, I think. There's still roles out there. There's still people wanting senior engineers all the time. Open up your LinkedIn, even if you're not looking for a job like that. Put your LinkedIn on open for roles for a couple months and see how many recruiters message you and stuff, and see what the salaries are saying, and build out. Put the thoughts in your head, because it might be a little bit different. I'm going to stop waffling. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was somewhat useful. Hopefully I'll see you for the next one. Peace out. Ciao.